Hey everyone, welcome once more to our weekly get together meeting of talking and learning and just going deeper with the eutaptics concepts. So, welcome everyone. And today is November 25th, is that correct? And
Yep.
two days before Thanksgiving, and I'm really thankful for this beautiful group that we have together, learning together. Hey Aaron, welcome. All right. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what is energy, which is page 35 for me in the level one book. It might be a page here and there for you guys, depending on when you got your book. So, soon as we all have our page 35 or so open, whoever would like to go first, read through the book. What is energy? We can do that.
I can start with that. This is Mary. What is
Mary,
energy?
go for it.
Hi.
Yes.
The word energy is one that's so commonly used in the personal development arena, but is one we steer away from in eutaptics. The problem with it is that its meaning is ambiguous. It means something different depending on who you're talking to. Because eutaptics aims to reach a wide audience and appeal to people from all walks of life, not just, quote, new age or metaphysical and believers. We tend to avoid using this terminology. By definition, energy is a nominalization and an expression of inner process and perception. Energy equals behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, and actions. EBABA are built from experiences that are internally represented through our senses. By working with these representations, we change the metaphoric expression called energy. As you shift these internal representations, everything else shifts. The chakras, balance, auras, radiate wonderful colors, and the energy will be good too. EBABA is the great guru of logical truth.
All right. Any insights there, Mary? Would you like to
Yeah,
share
it
any
kind of
insights?
sounds like word salad, to be honest. Um,
Yes. Would you like to tell me how it sounds like a word salad to you?
yeah. Um, well, it's probably a lot of words I don't understand. I don't know too much about chakras. Um, but is what these two paragraphs mean is energy is just it's just kind of a general big term, whereas in eutaptics we steer away from it because there's way more involved than just general energy. So that it's a lot of words just for saying that.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah. So first,
I guess I do understand.
right. So the EBABA, Robert calls this E Baba. So when he does the class, he draws out a picture of this uh, sage, whatever guy doing his mantras and stuff. So in a in a funny way, he points out that energy is basically the sum total of our behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, and actions. So when somebody says, "Oh, their energy is good," uh, that just means they're behaving in a good way. They have good attitude about life. They have good belief systems about themselves and the world, and they are taking good actions. So they have good energy. So the reason that's in our Utaptics book is because we don't want to be basically talking about the energy systems or all the energy healing, this and that. We want to keep it general. So when we talk, somebody's talking about, oh, my energy is, or somebody's energy is bad. It's not about something new agey, but what it just basically means is that They have good behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, and actions. Um, so if once we shift our inner perceptions, work on ourselves, heal our past, then naturally our energy becomes good.
Hmm.
So that's what it is.
Okay, that makes more sense. I guess I was just trying to get too much meaning out of it, but keep it simple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Just E Baba. Energy is E Baba.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any insights? Anything you would like to share? Any examples?
Well, I notice when one of those four Ibaba things is off, my it does feel like my energy's off. Like if I'm doing good behaviors and good beliefs and actions and I have a bad attitude, then my energy is not good. So you kind of do have to have all those in line to have good energy, I guess.
I like that. I think that's very insightful. Definitely see it as a math equation, right? If one of those elements is off balance, then your whole energy shifts, right? Or your energy is not so good. So that's a very, very good analogy there, Mary. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else would like to share anything? Okay, who would like to read the next important facts about energy in Utaptics?
I can if you wish.
Please. Thank you, Sherry.
Okay. Okay. Number one, eutaptics focuses on the mind's processing of information and the body's response rather than the concepts about energy and energy work because it's the byproduct. Number two, the eutaptics understanding of the word energy, quote, a nominalization and an expression of inner process of the mind's resources. Eutaptics also recognizes that there is a life force that we and all things possess, but we are addressing the nominalization of energy of a person's internal processes expressed in the combination of their behaviors, attitude, and interaction with the world around them. Change the subconscious, unconscious mind limbic system references, and the behaviors, attitude, and interactions change, and so does the quote unquote energy. The reason we don't talk about energy in eutaptics is because eutaptics does not address energy. Anyone can use and benefit from it, and we don't want to alienate those who are put off by the idea of energy work. Okay.
Any insights on that, Sherry?
Well, for me, I've never done any kind of therapy or any kind of stuff. So it's all kind of woo-hoo stuff to me anyway. So this was very clear for me to understand what the difference is. I mean, at the level one workshop, Mary was there. He did talk about energy, and some people were really hot and heavy about energy in the group because many of them had done other stuff. And they were all saying, "Oh, the energy," and I'm thinking, I have no idea what that is. But this really explains it very succinctly about what it is without having to add any woohoo words to it. It just says it. It's blah blah blah, and it's just kind of when you put it all together, and what do you get? You get energy, which is from eutaptics, because all of those things have to kind of click together.
Right.
Yeah, davvero, davvero. Okay. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And then
Okay.
also, as he said, we don't want to alienate anyone who,
No,
we
no.
want to welcome everyone, energy workers, normal
Yeah.
people, business people, whoever. We
Mhm.
want to just, you know, give the healing to everyone.
Absolutely.
Viv, Vivian, do you have any insights on that?
Well, um, the only thought that comes to my mind is when you're looking at energy would be including in the sensory acuity component of it. Other than that, I understand it because I have a variety of different exposure to energy work, and so what I love about it is that by keeping it this way, you don't offend anybody or put somebody off. You know, it just really allows the whole experience of eutaptics to be experienced. It doesn't isolate anyone.
Yeah, that was good observation about keeping the sensory acuity, because as we get up in the levels, in 2, 3, whatever, we're doing sessions. Like people come with, okay, I got past life problems. All right, let's work on it. I got, my energies, my chakras are off. Let's work on it, because it's all about what we are holding inside. And then
Yeah.
that's the way anyone is, whatever they're into, we work on it, and it's all
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Meeting people
thank
where
you.
they are. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, perfect. Anyone else would have anything else to share about this? Oh. So then we can get on the next is the two models of the world, which we already talked about in our first get together. So we'll skip on to the reticular activating system, and that's page 39 for me. The RAS. So who would like to read?
I can do it for you.
Okay.
I didn't have my most current manual, but it looks like I'm on the same page as you. So the
All right.
reticular activating system, the RAS, is a part of the brain that acts as an information gatekeeper. Studies suggest we receive about 2 billion bits of sensory input every minute, but our conscious mind would quickly become overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information. So the RAS filters it out, allowing only the relevant bits to get through to the conscious mind. Essentially, its functioning is to focus your attention on what is important to you based on what your unconscious mind holds. Do you want me to keep
An
going?
example? Yeah.
Okay. You decide to buy a Grand Cherokee. This obviously becomes important to you as soon as you think about buying it. Your RAS is now tuned into this, and suddenly you notice everyone else has a Grand Cherokee. Or you find out that someone you know is pregnant, and suddenly all you see are pregnant women. It seems like all women are pregnant. Well, it works the same way with what you don't want. If you focus on that, you're tuning your radio to that station and you will see what you don't want. Important facts about RAS. The conscious mind is only receiving a fraction of all the data you come into contact with at any given moment. The RAS is filtering out everything that is not considered important by the subconscious. The information that does get through to your conscious mind is based on what is held in your subconscious, not on what is really out there. If what you're seeing around you bothers you, you have the power to change the references in your subconscious, and that will result in your RAS allowing different information through to your conscious mind, changing what you see around you.
Insights on that, Bev?
Well, I think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, myself, I'm so aware, and one of the things from this system that we're working with is everything that's going on. I really get that it's me, and so whatever I'm experiencing in my environment with people, situations, or circumstances, it's so easy for me to recognize that that's me doing it to me. That I've been focusing on that. I just didn't I wasn't aware. So for me, I
Good.
think it's a really important piece about us, how amazing we are.
Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. It's a very important. Yeah. Anybody else has any insights? Hey,
Well,
Torian.
I've been able to give people more grace. Like if somebody was being like I hired an awful landscape contractor, and he's not doing what was in the contract, and he's just really giving me a hard time. And when he tries to come out to take care of the problem, he does bare minimum effort. And I was asking myself, what am I doing wrong? Well, how come he's treating me this way? Why? And I just realized, I'm probably not going to get what I want from him. I knew in the beginning, but I wasn't trusting my intuition when we had our first contact. But in fact, I was so uncomfortable during our first contact. I just said yes because I wanted him to go, instead of saying, no, I don't want you to do the work. And so it's just kind of interesting how this all played out. And I can see it so clearly now. And this would have sent me into a tailspin before, and it kind of did in the beginning, but through all this tapping, I've been able to see the whole dynamic so much more clearly, and not hold him in contempt, and just it's just a very interesting experiment. And I'm just really grateful. So thank you. But I can see how that part of my brain was being the gatekeeper, and it was only focusing on seeing it from a certain way. And after tapping now, it's not that I can uh uh I'm I'm not fighting it. I'm accepting it for what it is. And like at first I was really angry at myself for not listening to my intuition. But now I'm grateful for the lesson.
Yes, that's beautiful. Thank you. Definitely. Yes. Yeah, I can definitely say that back in the day, before we start working on our stuff, say for example, like abandonment was an important thing for me to focus on, because of past. And so, and then also our brain is trying to keep us safe. And so then we put all the focus on that. So that becomes the important part. All we can see is how is somebody abandoning us. It's all about abandoning, right? And that becomes the focus point of our life. Life becomes about how to protect ourselves from becoming abandoned, right? And as we change our memories, we become more of a person. I'm just speaking from personal experiences, becoming more self-loving, becoming more fulfilled, focusing on life, focusing on creativity, focusing on contribution, productivity. And then when you look at the past experience, and as we are working through our, tapping through it, working through our past, as we change the perception, we can see, oh, those experiences were actually a gift. And so now as we focus on self-love, we can, like the RAS will show us, oh, all these experiences, oh, how can this be a gift to me? How am I growing from this experience? How is this a good thing for me? Instead of always seeing it, oh, how I am getting abandoned, how I am getting rejected, right? So as we change our perceptions and as we change what's important to us, the RAS will show us a better meaning, give us a better meaning for life of like extracting the juice from life in the ways it matters, in a beneficial way, in a more beautiful way. So it's really amazing what RAS does, like pulling out meanings where there is no meaning and giving different meanings to things than what actually is happening. So yeah, but what's beautiful is we get to create our meaning and we get to see what's important to us in life. Yeah. Anybody else? Aaron, you're quiet.
Yeah, just what a lot of what came to mind when you were sharing. There's this quote from Rumi that the wound is the place where the light enters you.
Oh,
That reminded me, like what you were saying, reminded me of that, of this process of kind of regaining control, regaining capacity to direct your life in a way that you want. There was one person who went through, Utaptics and got a lot of training, a lot of sessions, and they were saying something that really stuck with me because I had some chronic pain that I was hoping for solutions with. I went to a lot of different solutions to try to find a way out, and while I was learning and while I was figuring out how to tap, I heard them say, like, in several different moments, this person was saying, wow, like this shift started to happen where it's like, wow, I am creating all of these problems. And if I just regain that control of that creative process, that creative power, and I direct that, if I learn how to direct it in a way that I want, which is all about the reticular activating system, like that's the mechanism that we're interacting with through tapping, of like redirecting that, reprogramming that. Happy journal is orienting that part of our brain to the things that are really nice, the things that we do like. This person was like, wow, like I have so much power to be able to create all of these problems. And if I just learn how to regain that power, now I can start to direct it in the way that I want. So that reminded me of your story, and that's been the theme of my story too. Just like, the more you tap, the more you start to change these issues, these memories, the more you're like, oh wow, like this is really cool. Like now I, start to get excited about the things that I can create instead of being like so stuck and so, overwhelmed by the problems that my brain was creating, because I didn't know how to do any better. Like it was trying to do what it thought would keep me safe, and it was keeping me safe. So it's time to regain that and shift it to something more positive, something more desired. So
Victoria?
Hi guys, sorry my camera's off. I'm really sick and I just don't want you guys watching me blow my nose all session. But I have like noticed, like you said it a while ago, it's like with the in the reading with the whole, you see one pregnant lady and then you see like every single one and everything. And I've really noticed that in my life since I've read that passage actually, that like not just pregnant ladies, but like I see a new car commercial or something, and then I see it again everywhere. Like it said in the book, I just like starting to notice that like what you are focusing on is what the universe is throwing at you. And I've just been trying to be more mindful of being like positive around everything because I feel like when I'm negative, the universe is like, okay, just looking for the negative. Bring
Yeah,
it.
so true. Thank you. Definitely see it everywhere. Um, Aaron, thank you for sharing that quote. That just made me really emotional just hearing that because, uh, as you said, the wound is the place where the light enters us. Because I feel like some of my biggest healings and just coming to myself, you know, bringing the light inside me has been through the biggest wounds, certainly. So it's just definitely beautiful. Yeah, thank you. All right. Who would like to read important facts about the RAS?
I can do that.
Please.
Um,
Yes.
okay. The conscious mind is only receiving a fraction of all the data you come into contact with in any given moment. I think I remember hearing the numbers, remember specifically, but it was like something like 2 billion within a very short time period. And like the amount that we can consciously focus on is like 2 to 7 bits of information.
Yeah,
Or
like right
like,
here in the first paragraph, it says 2 billion bits of sensory input every minute.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
that's a lot. Anyway, so the RAS is filtering out everything that's not considered important by the subconscious, unconscious, or limbic system. The information that does get through to your conscious mind is based on what is held in your subconscious, unconscious mind, or limbic system, not on what is really out there. If what you're seeing around you bothers you, you have the power to change the references in your subconscious, unconscious mind, or limbic system, and that will result in your RAS allowing different information through to your conscious mind, changing what you see around you.
Thank you. Any input on that? Any insights?
I guess like what was coming to mind really was the topic before around not the two models of the world, but energy. It's like one thing I really love about the system is how it takes these very ambiguous things like energy that are very important, but that are, if you talk to Reiki masters, they'll say one thing. If you talk to um, a meditator, they may say something else. Like I love how the system takes everything and just really makes it very mechanical, makes it very practical. Like if you work on how you store these memories, that will shift this part of your brain called the reticular activating system, which will change what you focus on. Which will then have these consequential things of changing your energy, changing, how people perceive you, changing what you bring into your life. So like there's a lot of, spirituality, a lot of people looking for answers who are trying to find things in energy realms or in law of attraction or whatever it is. I love how this, respects that. Like if that's the path, great. If that's not the path, that's also fine. Like this system will work with both versions very comfortably to be able to just say like, okay, so this is what you do to change what you have been getting, which was the successful but undesired outcome. And now we're going to shift that into successful desired outcome. Like I love just the very practical, mechanical, um, the way that it handles all these topics.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very like, okay, 1 + 1 is 2. Because you go to the bad one and you change those, then go to the good one, collapse the bad memories, changes your energy. But if you just go to an acupuncturist wanting to get healed, but you still have all the old stuff in there, no matter how much energy healing you do, if the old stuff has not been changed, and you can, of course, you can go to the acupuncturist and you send good energy, like internally for the mind, go and collapse that, that could change it too. But as long as the old stuff is in there and you're just doing the Reiki, you're doing the tarot cards, you're doing the, shamanistic healing, but the old stuff is still in there, it's not going to change your energy, it's not going to do the real healing inside. So yeah, I like what you said. It's very mechanical.
Well, and like all of these, it's interesting, like all of these processes work typically based on the same principles that fast EFT is using. It's not that those things don't work, but it's when they do work, they tend to follow these kinds of mechanisms, these
Same.
kinds of processes. And so just I love, like this isn't saying don't do those things. If they're working, that's great. We're in the system, we're playing with ways of doing those things better, faster, like just
Faster,
saving
better.
time
Right.
and being
Exactly.
thorough and all
And
this.
yeah, being thorough. Yeah, and like all change happens. All changes happen with bad good collapse. So yeah, you can do all those, and if you do the bad good collapse, it will happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yes. So, but just doing something and not changing the inside, the old past references, then it's not going to do it. Let's see. Torian, that's funny. Okay. All right. The power of what you don't want. Who would like to read that? Okay, Sherry, go for it. Is that the next in your book too? Yes.
See, yeah. The power of what you don't want. The strongest driving force in the universe is pain, or what you don't want. This is often for our protection or survival. When someone wants to change, they often say, I've had enough, I'm tired of this. But when someone asks, what do you want? Without realizing it, most of us answer with everything we don't want. Rarely do we answer with what we do want. So true. What people don't want is so powerful that they continue to produce it. Usually, we tend to practice what we don't want by focusing on it. We become experts at it and spend our lives getting just that. Ironically, it's your subconscious, unconscious mind limbic system intelligent idiot trying to keep you in alignment with its resources. The way to reduce or eliminate these painful episodes is to release the emotional intensity by letting go and rewriting them. As you rewrite your don't wants into what you do want, you become or create what you want. This allows you to create your life by intention instead of by default. To me, this is powerful here because you don't realize it, of course, unless you take this class or somebody tells you that, the things you don't want, that's the ones you always get, because really that's what so that's what you go for, whether it's a choice of men or choice of friends or choice of whatever it is, a choice of what I'm going to eat today, what you don't need or don't want, you go for that one because it's so strong. And I think that's been one of the best aha moments for me. Is like, oh wow, Sherry, you just got to change that memory, and there's no probability that it will happen. It will happen. If you go in there and get rid of that, then it's going to be good. So that's what I got from this. I think this is really powerful. This part right here for me personally. Okay, I'm done.
Definitely. Thank you. Anybody else? Any insights? Any examples?
Well, in my life, I lived most of my life by survival, and it just felt like the world was such a big, scary place, and it became permanently embedded in my brain. I think that I had to be on survival. I tried throwing in some gratitude here and there, tried looking into things, but that was just like a band-aid um, over it. It wasn't until you tactics and I ripped that band-aid off that I could actually see what was underlying in there. And I mean, it led me to psychosomatic autoimmune diseases and, broken relationships and on and on and on. And I didn't realize I was creating all of that. Um, but it is so true because I was there was so much pain, and that was like all I knew, and I wanted to stay in that because I knew it, and I knew what I needed to do to survive. But it's so much more freeing when I don't have to focus on that, and I can just let that go. So thanks for letting me share.
Yes, of course. And the power, is the RAS, it's the same reticular activating system. If you had two things, something you want and something you don't want, the what you don't want is always going to be more powerful because it's about survival. So, say you don't want an alcoholic person as your partner, and you want a good person as your partner. The don't want an alcoholic person is going to be more stronger, and uh and the unconscious, of course, doesn't know the meaning of no or not. It's always going to be on the lookout for the alcoholic people, always going to be seeing those in their environment, always going to be attracting that stuff in their environment. So it's like the power of what you don't want is so powerful that it just keeps getting manifested in your life. So, whatever. or like, okay, I if you have somebody in your life, like, uh, I'm just giving an example, another, like a friend or a partner who's doing all kinds of good things, but they're doing that one thing that you're like, I don't want. That's the only thing you're gonna keep seeing in your life, in them. Like, oh, they have this. Oh, I don't want this. And they could be doing 100 million other things that are good and are wonderful, but you're just gonna keep seeing that because that's more important. So the RAS, for the RAS, it's like what you don't want is more stronger, more painful, the stronger driving force than all the other good things. So that's how I understand it. Any other insights, anyone?
And that's why I probably married my mother the
Yeah.
first time, unbeknownst to me. So
I was just on some social media somewhere, and a friend has this like spirituality slash politics page, and they posted something from Ram Dass, and it was like, oh, like this is that. I had that like connection to what we were talking about yesterday, and now it's coming up again. Um, there's this page out of Be Here Now or whatever Ram Dass's book is called, and it was something about how if you're protesting something, if you see like some social injustice and you're like, this is wrong, and you protest against it, like you will never let it go. You will never be effective in that unless you love the other side. Like, unless your protesting is coming out of love instead of rejection, then the rejection is inside of you. You are carrying that shadow self, and it will kind of like Sherry was saying, like you'll marry your mother in that moment of like you will protest and fight, but really you're fighting some version of yourself that you can never escape from because wherever you go, there you are. And so like, we're like trying to get out of these things that we're hating, that we're not wanting, all this stuff. But until we make peace with that side of ourselves, within ourselves, then all the outside images, all the enemies, all the places it shows up in the world, then they can disappear because it's us projecting them, right? So anyway, all the conversation with everything you're just saying reminded me of that, of like there is a lot of activism and political turmoil on every side, like both sides of the spectrum of whatever it is. And so like until anybody who's active in the world and trying to make change in the world comes from that piece of like of love from inside of themselves, of positivity, and they're not fighting some shadow that's outside somewhere, they've made peace with all the shadows inside of themselves, then we'll start to see some change that's sustainable, that's all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so it's just that's what came
Exactly.
to mind.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. And then, yeah, so it's like there's that fight inside us is more stronger, more powerful, always fighting. There's like so many people just protesting, protesting, protesting. Uh, but what they do want, like that higher goal that is like more desirable, more like wanting that would improve their life, improve the world. That's not as important as like just the fighting, the protesting, and just always arguing, always, you know, in conflict, because, and then, as you said, that's inside of them, and that's the more important part. And they would be like fighting about everything. They would be arguing about everything in their life. But then the do want never really happens, never actually like manifests in their life because their life is about just protesting, arguing, conflicts. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful example. Thank you.
When I was in London in March, there was all these protests. Palestinians were protesting in the streets and stuff, and I'd never experienced anything like that. But it was weird because all I could feel was hate and anger, and there was no resolution or any kind of talking or any sort of agreement. It was just all anger, and it was so strong, and it really it took me by surprise. And it didn't make sense how they were trying to get their message across. So But to experience that in person, it was just really, really kind of weird. And you could see how it was feeding everybody else's anger and producing fear. And it, it was really something because there were thousands and thousands of people.
Okay.
Did you say
It's
something there?
interesting. I think
Oh,
she's talking to somebody else.
I'm sorry. I forgot I had the mic open and my husband yelled at me. So I'll be right back.
Yeah, Mary, it's really interesting. Like, when learning in level one with eutaptics, it's like getting confronted with people who are in the lower model of the world and how that kind of feeds itself. Like how people who are in the lower model of the world, they will poke and prod and say, you did this thing and that's not fair and da 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 da. And other people will say like that are also in the lower model of the world that will like, I'm not being fair, you're not being fair, and those keep pointing fingers back and forth. And it really takes a big shift of one person, at least one side of that equation being like, whoa, 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 what am I responsible for? What am I projecting into the world? How, let me clean up that shadow inside of myself, that hate, that hurt, that, whatever it is inside of myself, to be able to then say, like, okay, so now from this piece that I'm able to find and generate and maintain inside of me, now I can reach across the aisle. I can reach to the other side and say, like, wow, it sounds like you're going through a lot. It sounds like this is very painful. It sounds like you have these kinds of ideas. Like to be able to step out of myself, out of my projections, to then reach across with compassion. And that's really difficult to do if you've got a lot of pain inside yourself. There's that saying, like, hurt people hurt others. That's where rubber meets the road, when you see it in political protests and all kinds of other things, and in personal lives. Marrying your mom is a tough thing to do if you haven't made peace with your mom,
true,
metaphorically
true.
speaking, for everybody who
Yes,
doesn't understand what we're talking about.
thank you. Yeah,
Here's
definitely.
here's that picture from Ram Dass's book.
Uh-huh. It's interesting. Yes. Okay, I'll have
Just
to make it big.
everything we're talking
Yeah.
about how
Yeah, it's cool.
uh, dualistic version of nature. That if you haven't found kind of peace within yourself, then you're going to create waves, and those waves are going to upset you, and those waves are going to push back on you for creating waves with them, and so on until you make peace.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to add it to that, Torian, I'll get to in a second, is definitely that, as you mentioned, lower model of the world. I feel like somebody who is like really in the lower model of the world of blames and games and all that, they would pull out the lower model in the world in other people too, because we all have it to some extent or the other until we have transcended it and really permanently made a place in the upper model of the world. But most of us go up and down and hopefully pull ourselves out of it most of the time, right? We're all working on that. But yeah, so if somebody is really in the lower model of the world, it's also a good test for ourselves too. Like, okay, I stepped into the lower model of the world. How can I bring myself in the upper model of the world? So it's definitely, yes, it's an important point right there. To always be on the lookout and bring ourselves back to the upper model because there's a lot of hatred and anger. So how are we responding to that? Where are we now? What's inside of us that's bringing us there? And then if the person is in the upper model of the world, they can shift the energy too. They can bring people, give a helping hand and bring them to the upper model of the world. So it's always an interesting duality of the world. Yeah. Hey, Torian.
Hi, I guess I just have a question.
Yes.
So with everybody talking about like protesting and everything, is that like a lower model of the world? Because I mean, I've personally organized many Palestinian protests in Phoenix and everything, and like people are angry and they have a right to be.
Yeah.
But like, is that me participating in the lower model world, or is that just I don't know how to because I don't want to give that up, but I don't want it to make me.
Depends where you're coming from. Are you coming from a place of goodness and helping, contribution,
Yeah,
bringing goodness in the world? Or it's about blaming, it's about, it's about just putting it on others. Um,
it's more of just getting the word out there of like what's actually
right.
happening. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. But I mean, there are some people in like that have gone to the protests with me that are really, really angry, and I try to stay away from them and everything. But like, I don't know. It's just hard because like it feels like the upper model, you're always supposed to be like positive and happy and everything. But like, what if there's something happening that you need to speak out against?
The model of the world is not always just being happy and nothing else matters in the world and closing your eyes to to something that's not right,
Okay.
definitely, but uh, an important question is like, what does it mean to you? So if something bad is happening to you or to in the world, what does it mean to you? What's inside of you that is getting triggered? Uh,
It's not
there
even
could
really
be.
triggering. It's just I realize the more people I talk to don't really have a lot of knowledge on it, and I think it's more of like just getting from my it's getting the information out and everything.
What would that do for you if the information gets out?
Hopefully help people.
Right. And if the information doesn't get out, what does that mean to you?
I mean, someone else would hopefully do it, but I don't know, I just feel weird standing idly by.
Yeah, right. So those are some questions you can ask to see if you're in the upper model of the world or not. If there's a personal hurt, then it's an opportunity to heal. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Then you can do the protest from and I'm not saying you're not in the right heart or not. I'm just saying it's like a canvas. Okay. If it's just something we can ask ourselves to check whether we are in the upper model of the world or not. If there's a feeling of unjustness or something was wrongly done because we have some hurts inside of us that we are trying to make right, then there's definitely something inside that needs healing. And from that heal point of view, then you can do the protest um, to come to a better place, to bring the word out, to help people. Then that's upper model of the world protest. So I wouldn't say that that protests are always bad, but if there's anger inside, because that anger is coming from inside us, right? If there is hatred, then there's a hatred inside of us. But if it's
Hmm.
coming from, like you said, to bring the awareness to help people, then then it's then it's okay. You just keep checking with yourself if there's anything inside of you that you're trying to um bring that healing to others,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
cool. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, I think what I'm doing is okay, but
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's no right and wrong. It's just what's inside of us. That's how I see it. If inside of us there's something hurt and then we're trying to create a revolution in the world because we are hurt inside, then we need to heal ourselves first, and then we can bring a truer, higher healing in the world.
okay. Thank you.
Of course. Did anyone else have yeah, Vivian?
That was great, Shristi. I really get that because of a question that I've been putting out there for the last couple of weeks. And, I always use this analogy of the boat. You're either going with the flow or you're going in resistance. And what you help me realize is that any time that I have, like a resistance to, like in the world, that we have a lot of stuff in the world that we could have an opinion about, that what is it inside me that your questions, are we going to get a copy of this recording?
Yes.
Okay, so the questions that you asked were great because, like, why does this bother me? And what would happen if it didn't change? Wow, that really does give you some clarity. Like you said, like justice, like where in your life have you had injustice, or where do you feel like, you've been forgotten, So I appreciate the conversation, Torian, that you brought up because it really helps me look at anything that I'm upstream about. Like I've tried to use that analogy a lot, but that one, because there's so much of it in our world right now. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Those are very good
Excellent
insights there, Vivian.
conversation. Thank you.
Anybody else have any insights on that one? Yes. Would anybody like to read the important facts about what you don't want? I can read through it if anybody else. Okay, I'll just. Okay, Vivian, you want to read it?
Yeah, I'll help you.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Important facts about what you don't want. The strongest driving force in the world is pain. We are designed to pay attention to what we don't want so that we can survive. But wherever the mind goes, the body follows. While we focused on what we don't want, our decisions and actions are affected by it as the subconscious keeps looking for and finding proofs and evidence to support it. The subconscious is designed to keep us safe, and keeping us safe means keeping us the same we've survived so far, based on the references it currently holds. When we change the references, we change the focus of the subconscious, which automatically changes the focus of the conscious mind and in turn our decisions and actions. Wow, that was great. That was really great.
Great. Did you have any insights on that, Viv?
Well, yeah, I did. It's the first time I've I've read this manual, I don't know how many times, but it's the first time I really connected that, pain. And I know about survival, but that really connected it. And one of the things I'm really aware of is when you talk with people and you ask them about they have all these things that they want, and you ask them, well, what is it that you want? They can only tell you like well, like love. You talk about love. Well, my husband, my kids, my dog, and that's about it. Most people can't really tell you what they want. And I never really connected the dots till now because of the basis of survival.
Yes.
And until
Definitely.
you were talking about that a bit ago, I never connected with the RAS. So, wow, I'm so happy I'm here today.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best thing about doing these meetups is like when we are talking and discussing it, there's a lot of insights that come through and with each other's life experiences.
Yeah.
So, and like when you start doing sessions and you ask people, what do you want? And they always inevitably will say what they don't want. I don't want a dead dog. I don't want a, useless husband. I don't want a, a
Yeah.
job that drops me, they would say what they don't want first. So the power of what you don't want is stronger than what they do want. They're always focusing on what they don't want. And when they're focusing on what they don't want, that would happen.
Yeah.
Because it's
I
all about
really
that's
get
where
that.
the focus is going,
Yeah. I totally get that. That's awesome.
It's all about visualization. What are we visualizing inside? If we're visualizing what we don't want, that's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
and we're gonna do that as long as we got those references inside. So yeah, all other modalities would say, yeah, start visualizing what you do want, but if the don't wants are inside still, that's what we would visualize. So that's why we are tapping on these memories, changing the meanings, changing our perceptions, changing the memories to a good one, changing them to what we do want, and that's what we will visualize from here on. And so that's why for visualizing, first we have to go clean up the bad references. It's so powerful what we do want, what we don't want. Yeah. Any other insights, anyone? Any examples? Like yesterday, I went to get a haircut, and my hairdresser, she's like, all I keep doing is attracting men who are alcoholics, drug addicts, and other kind of addictions. And I was like, okay, so how was your dad like? She's like, oh yeah, he was an alcoholic. And she keeps attracting men that are alcoholic or drug addicts. I'm like, yeah, that's what you need to clean up first. You know, it's always we're attracting the same old that we have inside, you know. Any other insights, examples, inputs, questions? Anyone? All right. This was a really fun meeting, everyone. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
y'all
Happy
being here.
Thanksgiving. Have a
Happy
good day, everybody.
Thanksgiving.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Next
Happy
week, let's
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Sherry. You have some fun over there in Italy.
No Thanksgiving here.
It's my birthday on Thanksgiving, so I was born on Thanksgiving, so it's kind of special.
Oh, Mary, that's super
Thankful
special.
for
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah,
Ah,
thank
thankful
you.
for you. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. We'll
Have lots
see you
of
next
fun.
week.
See you soon. Next week, we will talk about the primary principle and primary input. Those are some fun, deep topics. And then if we get done with that, we can step into the perceptual positions.
Okay, good.
All
Very
right.
good.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye,
so much
everyone.
for your examples and inputs and everything else. I'll have a good week. Bye-bye.